Hello again. This is Ann Babson, your professor. I understand if you think that MLA is really strange and hard to learn how to use. Believe me, as another user of MLA, I don't particularly find it fun like going to the amusement park fun to use it myself. But it's the code with which people in university communities and English departments talk to each other about what kind of information they've gathered. So I am going to show you a shortcut that I myself use to produce some basic ideas of a formatted bibliography. It will save you time. You will have to change some things. Don't turn it in exactly here because Microsoft Word has not yet updated to the latest version of MLA, which you are expected to use for your papers for the proficiency portfolio. But where I would go in order to have a conversation with you related to what your sources are, and as you are producing the source material itself, for your annotated bibliography, you can go to this tab here. Imagine you've written your 4 pages of paper and this is the 5th page. I would go to references, and I might even do this before my paper was done. And look what I have. I have the ability to do what they calls here manage sources. This is very useful to you. You will want to choose the style. Before you set up your bibliography, you really do need to choose the style of source. Now you are using MLA, so I'm clicking down on MLA, but notice that it says 7th edition. You are using a significantly later version of MLA. So there have been changes. Therefore, you are going to have to double check before you turn in a paper that the changes are ones that you can make, and I'll show you how you would do that. So I am going to click on MLA, and I only have the option of 7th edition right now, so that'll have to do. Now, I am going to click now on Manage Sources. I don't have a list of sources, but I'll tell you what, if you are a major of any discipline and you are likely to quote certain things that you are researching in multiple papers for classes, and you're doing this on your own computer or on your own flash drive, your ability to access Microsoft Word sources from previous papers becomes automatic, and you will be able to see other sources you've already used. But I'm on a school computer, much as you might be, and I'm about to write a bibliography to turn in to my professor about the literary analysis paper. So I don't have any sources at all here. I'm going to click on New. And the first thing it's going to ask me is what kind of source I have. And I want you to remember, like I was saving your life here, that not everything that is on the internet is a website. There are multiple videos on this class's Moodle to tell you different kinds of sources that might appear online, and I may not have imagined every kind of source. There are blogs, there are academic journal articles, there are ebooks, there are newspapers. I read several newspapers online. I read other things. There are radio shows. All of these have websites, podcasts, etc. So I would have some choices. I just want to show you what they have: book, section, journal, article, article imperia, article conference proceedings, which is not the same thing as an academic journal article, report, website, document from website, electronic source, which could be a number of things, art, sound recording, performance, interview, film, patent. I don't think we'll be using patent law in here. Cases from court, I'm not sure that we would. And miscellaneous, use only when there really isn't an MLA citation style. My advice is assume there's an MLA citation style. Look in the little brown handbook to find it. Use the Ask a Librarian function of the library in order to verify that you have eliminated all other things before you touch miscellaneous. To show you how I would do this, though, I'm going to use a source that I know you will all be working on, which is the book by Kaveh Akbar, Calling a Wolf a Wolf. My first question here is author. It does this cool thing where it allows me to keep track of authors' names. I clicked on edit. What is his last name? It is Akbar. Sometimes that is a first name. And his first name is Kaveh. He does not go by a middle name, and I don't need to ask him because it's not on the book. But I'm going to say add. And notice that it's going to already put it in the correct order, last name first, for MLA. The title of the book is, Calling a Wolf a Wolf. And the year is 2017. I don't actually need to know the city anymore for, or the medium for a book in order to cite it. The publisher is Alice James Books. And so I'm going to click OK and save this much information. If I needed to have other things, for instance, when you do a journal article, it doesn't automatically show you issue and number and volume numbers, but you have all of these fields that may exist. You have one for URL, DOI, all of these things that will be ultimately required of you for different kinds of sources. We'll talk about corporate authors when I look at your bibliography with you, but assume that everything that you are going to cite is by somebody. Words don't end up on a web page or a regular hard copy page out of the sky in academic prose. The 10 Commandments might have been carved into stone by the finger of God, but I promise you the editorial you read online is by somebody in flesh and blood, somebody quite mortal and potentially fallible. And you need to know who's talking to you at all times. That is an important rule for just clear thinking in these days, but also for this class. But so I'm going to uncheck this box because I really do have all the information I need in order to be able to cite this. So I'm going to click OK. And look what I have. I have a bibliography entry that I can even see in preview in MLA. This would be, as it turns out, still a correct version of MLA that I could use for this, but I would want to double check it in case there was a change between the 7th edition and the 9th edition. Spoiler alert, there are for many kinds of entries some changes, and you want to change those. And I'll show you how to do that. So now I'm going to say close. So now it has saved for this document one kind of one source, and I need, as you know, a minimum of 4, 2 with page numbers for this paper. But it is going to be able to give me a bibliography, a references, or a works cited page. Please choose bibliography or works cited. I suggest you use works cited because that is actually the way in which the graders will be assessing things. Have you indeed cited the sources in your paper? So look what it just did. I clicked the works cited and it automatically put my source. Now if I had multiple sources, it would put them all in. Now, there's something that I would want to be able to do here. And I would want to be able to save this as static text. And it gives me this option here in this little box at the top. It says, convert bibliography to static text. What that means is that it's not going to try to format it for me. Once I've got the basic element of it that Word is able to provide, if I need to make changes to get it back to the current edition of MLA, I am going to click on this. And so now it will allow me to edit inside the box, and it will let me make changes as I may need. But this saves so much time. It will be half the effort that students otherwise would have to make doing it all manually. It will also save the information for you of these sources if you're working on your own computer, which is also useful in a variety of ways. Again, as I always say, talk to me if you have questions. But in the meantime, I believe that I have saved you a little time in the preparation of your bibliography. Note that if you convert this to static text with your 4 sources, you can manipulate it so that it becomes your annotated bibliography, and that would allow you to then type additional information here about this source. Just as I have asked, you need to do 2 additional sentences for each of your sources. One about what's generally in the source, and number 2, how it will inform your paper's project, how it will help you prove your thesis. Again, let me know if you have questions. Thank you very much. I am sure this will help you succeed.